Now, when we do a calculation, it's very important that you must break your kilowatt hours down. Say, for instance, I say you use 120 kilowatt hour. There is the tariffs. Okay. What is important is that you must remember that they stagger. You are now going to stagger this cost. Why? Because for the first 50 kilowatt hour, you pay a certain amount. And then for the next amount that there is, you're going to, the next number of kilowatt hours, you will pay a new amount. Okay? So, for this 50 kilowatt hours here, 120 is bigger than 50. Right. So you must buy the first 50 kilowatt hours. So to work out for that first 50 kilowatt hours, you're going to take this maximum here and you're going to multiply it with the full tariff. Okay? If you're going to multiply it with the full tariff, if I'm going to calculate 50 times 0.8865, it's more or less 89 cents. I get 44 Rand 32.5 cents. Your rands is here, your cents is after the comma. That is what I'm going to pay for that first 50 kilowatt hour. If I go over 50 kilowatt hours, I'm going to have to pay more. Now, here is the trick. If you are going to use 120 kilowatt hour, sorry, it's kilowatt hour. You must now remember that 120 kilowatt hour, you already paid for 50 now. You cannot now go and again say 120 multiply that amount. No. You have already paid for 50. So what you must do is you must first subtract that 50 kilowatt hour. For that, you're going to pay that amount. Okay? So for the first 50 kilowatt hour, you are now paying that 44 Rand, 32.5 cents. What will be now the next kilowatt hours? You subtract. 50 from 120, give me 70 kilowatt hour. Now for this 70 kilowatt hour, you cannot pay the low rate. Everything that you use more than 50, you will pay the next rate. 120 will fall here. Okay? But now remember, I have already paid for 50. So I am subtracting the 50 from the 120 so that I only have 70 kilowatt hour. Now because that will fall in this bracket, 120 will fall in this bracket. Ne? 120 is somewhere between 51 and 250. Because it will fall in that bracket, I will pay for that now, that tariff. So now I'm going to say 70 times 1,1250. Okay? And if I work that out on my calculator, I'm going to get 70 times 1.12, sorry. Okay, 70 times 1,125, it's 1 Rand 125, and the answer will be 78 Rand 75 cent. Now, you paid for the first 50, 44 Rand 32.5 cent. For the next 70 kilowatt hour, you're going to pay 78.75 cent. And you are now going to pay a total of 44.325. You are only going to round off in the final answer, 78 Rand 75 cents. And if I do that, I get 44.325. I'm adding. I get 123 Rand. It's not 75 cents, ne? It's 7 cents. It's 7.5 cents. Remember, we're going to give our answer correct to 2 decimals. Can this 5 make that 7 the next number? Yes. So I'm going to make it 123 Rand 8 cents. Okay, because we are working here with cents and on this side with rand. And 100 cents make 1 Rand. Okay? I'm sorry, let me just again wrap up here. the final answer, I get it by adding the two amounts. And then when I get the final answer, I round off to 2 decimal numbers. So the 5 can make the 7. If say 8, so I have then 120 rand 8 cent. If they say to you, give it to the nearest rand, if they say give it to the nearest rand, it means you mustn't include cents. So you must decide, is 123 rand 8 cents closer to 123 or closer to 124? Can that 0 make the 3 the next number? No. So if I must give it to the nearest rand, you will just write 123 rand. Okay. Grade 12, I hope that's going to help with the tariff systems. I'm having another question that I want to attend to. They are bringing the questions now to me that you are asking. I have a question of a learner who asked me to please do ratio. Ratio is very, very important because ratio is the thing that we apply in other in context when we are doing our calculations. Now, just what is the difference between a ratio and a rate? Okay? The difference between a ratio and a rate, for a ratio we are comparing things which are the same, and for a rate we are comparing things that are not the same. But actually it works exactly the same. A rate is like when we say kilometer per hour. If I say a car can move from the speed limit from Tabanshu to Bloemfontein is 100 kilometers per hour. Theoretically, I can then only drive 100 kilometers per hour. And if you can maintain that speed from Tabanshu to Bloemfontein for 100 kilometers at 100 kilometers per hour, it means you will cover 100 kilometers in 1 hour. We say it's a rate because it's kilometer and it's hours. It's different quantities. It's a distance and a time that we are comparing. Okay. So, if I say now, how long will it take for me to come from Tabanshu to Bloemfontein? It's more or less 70 kilometers. You're going to do exactly what I told you earlier on about rates. You're going to keep your kilometers over each other. And your answer will be in hour. And then you're going to over cross multiply and you're going to divide. Okay? So you're going to say 70 kilometer times 1 hour divide by 100 kilometer. And it will give you 0.7 hour. The thing is just remember, that's not 0.7 minutes. That's 0.7 hours. So if you want to put it to our minutes, you must now say 0.7 times 0.7 hours. You must convert now to minutes. Okay, wait. When I now want to convert to minutes, I am going to do a ratio again. It's actually again a ratio. Everything or a lot of things that we can do is if you can just state the ratio correctly. When we are going to do the next conversion, let me show you. I'm going to convert hours now to minutes. I'm going to say in 1 hour, we have 60 minutes. Now we have a ratio. We call it a ratio because this is time and that is time. If I'm comparing two things of the same quantities, I'm calling it a ratio. If I'm comparing two things of different quantities, I'm calling it a rate. So when I'm talking about rate, I'm actually also talking about ratio. So now if you want that 0.7 hours to go to minutes, you take the 0.7 and you write it under the hours. You keep your hours together. So when you're going to do your calculation now, you do your overcross multiplication and division. So you're going to say 0.7 hour times, I'm going to overcross multiply 60 and I'm going to divide by 1. Okay? So we have done now in the same problem, we have done rate and ratio. Have you worked this out? It's 42 minutes. Okay? How many minutes are 0.7 hours? I have worked it out for you with ratio. If you want to, you can just remember to multiply by 60, but actually it's a ratio sum. Okay?